So let's see what those three letters mean. Firstly, I'll mention the simplest case, which is that of files. And for files it's very straightforward. R means that the person, such as the owner, the group, or everybody else, has permission to read the file. That means they can examine the contents of the file, perhaps using cat or more or head or tail or something like that. Anything that allows them to read the contents of the file. That could even be using the copy command, CP. Obviously you can't copy the file if you can't open it up and see what's inside it. Then the W command means that you can modify or write the file. We haven't looked at any commands yet that will modify files, but a good example might be vi, the text editor. So you could open up a text file, make some modifications to it using the editor and save those changes. But you would not be able to do that if you did not have write permission available to you. Finally, the X permission means that you can execute the file. Now that only makes sense if the file is a program, either a binary program or a shell script. It's possible to set the X permission for any other type of file, such as a text document or something similar, but it makes absolutely no sense to do it and doesn't give you any benefit. Unix may attempt to run the file, but will quickly realize that it is not a program and not execute it at all. Now those three permissions, R, W and X, mean completely different things when talking about directories. For R, when you're talking about directories, that means it enables you to view the contents of the directory. In other words, you can do things like do an ls on the directory. ls obviously lists the names of the files in that directory, which, if you like, you might call the contents of the directory. Now the most important one, I guess, is the W permission. Can you create or delete files in the directory? Now I've got to stress something. It's absolutely critically important that you understand this. If you've got a given file, that file may not be able to be modified because the W thing might be turned off. But that file may be able to be deleted because the W thing is turned on for the directory that the file is sitting in. So if you want to protect a file, turning off the W bit is not enough. You also need to turn off the W bit for the directory. Now we're going to talk about that in the last module of this chapter. I'm going to show you a serious security loophole in Unix security. It's only serious because most people don't know about it. So they're not aware that they're leaving themselves with a security risk. Finally, the execute permission means for a directory that you can actually go there. Using, say, CD, you can access the directory. Let's try a few examples now. Here's our list of files again. Now, clearly I will be able to examine the contents of user.list. So I could do, say, cat user.list. How do I know that I can do that? Well, because I have read permission on the file. So there is the contents of user.list. Do an ls -l again. Now I've got a file here that I don't have permission to read, which is called another.txt. So I'll do that now. Cat, that file. Another.txt. And that's permission denied. I'm not allowed to examine the contents of that particular file. Now when it comes to directories, am I allowed, for example, to examine or even go to the contents of, say, home/avon? So I can go there, but can I examine the contents of it? Let's have a look. No, permission denied. So I would assume then that the X permission is turned on for the home Avon directory, but the R is turned off. Now which one of the three? Owner, group or others? Well, that'd be group because I'm a member of the same group as Avon. So if this entry here was the home Avon directory, then the X bit would be turned on and the R bit would be turned off. That particular, the middle one, the one relating to groups. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this chapter, the root user is the user that never sees the words permission denied.